Hello. Welcome to the Coffee People podcast. Just wanted to let you know that if you go to roastar.com and you use the code BUNDLEDUP, you'll get 10% off for the rest of March because it's freaking cold out. And here in Southern California, it's wet and cold. So code BUNDLEDUP, 10% off, roastar.com. Can't go wrong. Hey there, everyone. I'm Ryan Woldt, the host of the Coffee People and Coffee Smarter podcasts. Both shows are part of our Roast West Coast Coffee Network and presented by our collaborative partners at Roastar Coffee Packaging. You can find them online at roastar.com. You'll also find that link in our show notes or on our newsletter at roastwestcoast.com. Every so often, my friend Nick Schmitt and I connect on a video chat to have a cup of coffee. Nick is the specialty coffee ambassador over at Roastar, and we're often catching up when he's either out exploring the world of coffee or has just arrived home. We catch up on company business, share some of our favorite recent coffee shop experiences, we talk about the coffee industry at large, and generally just have a casual coffee hang. It's fun, and we decided to start recording them, mostly because I was forgetting to make notes about our actual work stuff. So if you haven't poured yourself a fine cup of coffee yet, now is the time. I've got mine. Thanks for watching, and welcome to Nick and Ryan Drink Coffee. I'm staying bundled up today because it's cold and it's wet. And also I saw that Roastar has a bundled up code for 10% off, and I thought it'd be funny.
I like it. I'm dressed for the weather here, which is 38 degrees.
Oh my goodness. Sounds
Heat
terrible. I'd say it's a wet 65 here, and it's brutal.
Wow.
Everybody's curled up on the couch on heating pads. Nobody wants to go outside.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But I am going to take this down a little bit so I can drink coffee. It's good to see you, man. What are you drinking there?
I brought the bag Boon Boona coffee. They're up in Seattle. It's a Tanzania Kilimanjaro, it's called. It is so good.
We talked about them last time I saw you, that you did the Ethiopia ceremony there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah, I've got, we have a new blend of Yeah, No, Yeah. So still Ethiopia, Colombia, but different sourced farms. Ethiopia is a Guji now, and Colombia is a Cauca instead of a Huia, I believe. So you say that? So mix it up a little bit. It's a little bit smoother, a little bit more daily drinker like we had initially planned, a little bit less fruit maybe. I'm still trying to get the details right. I feel like with our first go round, I had it pretty dialed in pretty quickly. This one I've been struggling with a little bit more. I think I just have like a preconceived notion of what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to work through my mental block. But yeah, excited about that, and talk to Brian, and we're confirming to do No Yeah No later this year. So pretty stoked.
Oh, an entirely different meaning if you're not aware already, listeners.
Yeah, a No Yeah No does not mean Yeah No Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But we can get into those definitions at some other date. How did you brew that this morning?
V60. It's pretty much my go-to. I think my scale is broken though, so I ended up actually disregarding some of the numbers towards the end of the brew. It turned out all right, but I need a new scale. Mine is, I think it was about $20 about 5 years ago, and it's not great. But no, it's a good cup. I do the V60, and then inside of it, have you ever heard of a Lily Drip?
I've heard of it, but I don't have one.
Okay. I really enjoy it. It pretty much just turns like a V60 into a flat bottom brewer in a way, instead of the filter coming all the way down to a point. The
Mm-hmm.
lily drip kind of sits in there and blocks that tip, and then you fold the filter up, so it kind of goes down and then comes back up, which like levels out the brewing bed a lot more.
Okay.
I used to have a lot of issues, especially with like Ethiopian coffees, which I don't know the reason, but somebody said that there's a reason. Um, but I used to have my V60s like stall out a lot, or just
Mm.
like the brew times would be super inconsistent, even though I did invest into a decent grinder. So there shouldn't be too many fines or anything like that. But do you ever have like brews stall like that just for whatever reason take 3 times as long as usual?
No, I'm usually too fast for whatever, like I feel like,
Oh,
but I kind of have the opposite problem. Maybe like early on I did. I will if I switch up brewing methods without really thinking it through. Like without going, oh no, I need to adjust my grinder settings or whatever. And I'll be like, no, these are coarse enough to put in a French press, and they are not. Uh, so that's something that I run into more often than not, but not not too often with a V60. Although I don't know that I really know what I'm doing with the V60. I think I've just learned a lot of different things, and it looks right. I think a lot of coffees like that. It's kind of like not sure I really know how to read. I just know a lot of words. You know, you kind of just it's like that kind of theory. I mean, I think I know how to read. I like to
I
read,
think you know how to read.
but there's kind of this like you fake it till you make it. And with a V60, like as long as I know a little bit more than the people I'm around, it looks like I'm doing something super cool. I did a V60 as well this morning. Yesterday, I did a Kalita. I did a French press, and I've done like an automatic Simply Good brewer. Simply Good send me another brewer, and so I'm testing that out. All three, like I feel like I'm like one tweak away from this being just an excellent cup of coffee. But I can sense it. It's not quite. There's just something off, and that's like a rabbit hole that I think coffee leads people to. You know, it's like the siren song of the coffee. It's like you can do a little bit better. Like, so I have to remember to be like, yeah, I could, but also I'm going to enjoy this moment, this beautiful mug that I have.
Wow, is that handmade?
Yeah, my friend at Lasley Artisan, Gabriella on social media, she made this. I fell in love with this mug like a bunch of years ago, and she ended up, giving it to me. I think, and I can't quite remember, but she's here in San Diego. She just does like very small batch stuff, all kind of custom, and I just love this mug. It goes with me everywhere. It's like a not practical mug to take like camping and stuff, but I still do.
I'm
Just
curious, are there what in your mind makes a perfect coffee mug?
uh,
There are different things, but
yeah, I like
situational.
something ceramic, something a little bit smaller, something I guess I would describe as what I call a warm material. I have like a bunch of double wall stainless steel, mugs, but I don't enjoy it as much. I've got some cool classic, tin cups, and those are cool, but it doesn't quite hold the heat the way you need. I think there's just something comforting about a ceramic, handmade mug. Personally, I like a mug that's maybe got a little bit of a janky something. This one's almost perfect, but even just like the cheap diner mugs always seem to be like the ones that weigh like 2 pounds. And you're just
Hmm.
like, this was clearly the cheapest thing. And so that's why they got it. But for whatever reason, it's lasted 45 years, probably because it's filled with asbestos or something. But that's me. How about you? I saw you were drinking like right out of the, the brew pot. Did you?
Actually, no. I'm matching. So I've
Okay.
got my Pure Over
I
set,
see.
which this is, I would say, design wise, a rather cold mug. Like it's very like I don't
Hmm.
know, the clear glass, but I do like it. I like a small mug. I don't really drink espresso too often, but I like to drink my filter coffee in just about espresso sized cups. I like a very small cup. If it's designed as if it were like a big diner mug, but it's
Hmm.
like half the size,
Oh yeah.
that's what I like. I have a couple kind of like that. This one is just kind of my trusty. Like it gets a little creepy when I drink out of it. You can kind of like see my mouth through it, but Yeah, I would agree. I like a firm handle. This one lacks that a little bit. My hand doesn't like fit in it. You know, if I were to just like loosen my fingers, it won't hang. But
That is
yeah,
actually a problem that I have, which is that when I pour my mug in whatever mug I have in the morning, like this one has like a nice handle where it fits my two fingers perfectly and they kind of just don't move around. But if I have like a normal, just generic coffee cup and it's bigger than that, I get really distracted very quickly. And so I'll be like walking through the living room and it'll just be like hanging down and like dripping out over the side if I fill it up. So I've learned like I only fill my coffee maybe 2/3 of the way in any mug. Doesn't matter because
mm-hmm.
I know that there's a good chance I'm going to spill somewhere in the house. And I won't realize it until someone goes, "Hey, what's this stain on the carpet?" And I'll be like, not blood or coffee, I swear. Like, we're fine. And then I'll have to clean it.
I do pretty often pour. I mean, this is just sadly I didn't make any coffee right before this. I'm just like making the one I made this morning last longer. But I will usually pour like about this much in to start, and I'll swirl it around quite a bit just to let it cool down.
Mm,
Because any coffee tastes relatively good when it's like piping hot. But when you let it cool down a little bit, I think you get a lot more flavor. Like it just changes so much. I
sure.
like my first couple sips to be cooled down a little bit. I don't know if aerating it is actually a thing like wine, but that's kind of what I like to do.
We do aerate our wine, but we don't actually know what that does. I just think it's like a cool little topper that we have that pours it into the glass. It
Half
seems
the
like,
things I do, half the stuff I do is because somebody said it does something, and I couldn't explain the reasoning, but I do it anyways.
yeah. The other day, I broke the little aerator topper apparently and didn't realize it, and so my wife called me out on it. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, like I don't even know what it does. Like I could just pour it right from the bottle and it's fine. It's been like a month since I saw you. I think we had a meeting in there somewhere, but have you been anywhere else, or are you just kind of gearing up for? I think New York is coming up next, right?
Yeah, well, I just got back last night from Los Angeles. That was a personal travel, which doesn't happen too often anymore, but that was kind of nice. So, yeah, I was out, got to go to a couple coffee shops, but I kind of took a little bit of a step back from coffee and tried to like be a person, not spending all my time in cafes the whole time because that's usually all I'm doing on the road. But yeah, it was great. Went and saw a concert with my brother for my birthday. Um, yeah,
Happy
now
birthday!
gearing up. Next week, I'm going to Houston to the ground zero of SCA this year to check out some coffee shops kind of in the area beforehand.
Well, and there a coffee association event there this week?
The National Coffee Association is a
Right.
thing and is in Houston and is sometime around now. That's not what I'm going for.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been seeing other people post about it and like getting brief moments of FOMO. Like, am I supposed to be going to this thing? Like, I think it's a little bit more on the business side of the industry, but
I don't
there's
think you
just
and I
so
are
many.
nearly professional enough for that one.
I'm wearing sweatpants and a winter coat in my closet right now, so I would definitely agree with you on that. I'm getting prepared. I pull this coat out once a year to go snowboarding, and so I have it out because we're going to Colorado next month, and so I was pre-planning to get
Nice.
ready. But then I like came in handy because we've had temperatures like in the low 40s pretty regularly this last week. This weekend we're actually headed to Phoenix, and so do you have any coffee recommendations for Phoenix? I don't remember if you've been there or not.
I have been to Phoenix, not for work, so I haven't done too much coffee shop scouting. Um, Presta Coffee Roasters, I know, is in Arizona
That's
for
right.
sure. Perhaps Phoenix, but they have some really. I haven't actually been to one of their cafes, but I have had their beans, and they're killer.
I'll look
We've
for that.
also made quite a few bags for them, so
Okay.
of
Yeah.
course a
Well, I'll check it
recommendation
out
in
for
that
sure
sense
then.
too.
We're going to be
Let me
there
know what
just
you
for the
find.
weekend doing baseball, so spring training. And I'm bringing some of the yeah no yeah along to try to give to the players. I'll just be like one of those kids like at the fence, like, but instead of taking something, I'm trying to give them just take this coffee. Yeah. So New York, are you doing any touring or is it just festival all weekend? We're talking about
It'll be
Coffee Fest New York, by the way. Just if I forget that we record this and people see it.
yeah, we're just talking like we know
Yeah.
all the little things.
Mhm.
We'll start talking about our family. Yeah, Coffee Fest New York. It'll be mainly there for the show. Dark Matter Coffee, which I know you're familiar with. They've got their shop in New York now, which opened
Oh, I didn't know
within the
that.
last year. Yeah, they're in New York now, so we've got that scouted out. We're definitely going there. Kind of pumped for that.
They're definitely a little out there and have long been a brand that just says we're going to do whatever we want to do. My first real cup of coffee was at Dark Matter or at Star Lounge around the corner from Dark Matter, which they kind of basically run as a or used to run as like a concept place, I think. And they've just gotten so big. I mean, whenever I'm at one of their events, I'm kind of like, oh my goodness, like this is way bigger than I was expecting from the coffee brand I knew way back when I was in Chicago.
Yeah, their after SCA event last year was a hoot. I mean, it was huge. They welcomed so
Mhm.
many people in. It was in their like green coffee warehouse, which
Oh
was the
yeah, with the
coolest space for a party. Just
live
green coffee
music,
bags everywhere.
tattoo room, photography exhibit, food. If I recall, you were a little bit unable to speak for that event.
I was not at my greatest that day. No, it was the I think it was after the first or second day of the show. Yeah, I just got there and I was so excited to talk to everybody I knew and new people, and I completely just killed my voice. I couldn't talk at all. I think I was like showing you messages on my phone to like respond,
By
but
the
it
time I saw you, you had a notepad and you were writing things down.
yeah. My coworker Scott, who was there, in order to communicate with him, I would type a message on my phone and show it to him. And in order to hear what I was saying, aka read it, he had to take his glasses down and put them on. So he had to use his glasses just to communicate, which is funny.
I feel like that's a little bit of a burn on Scott because Scott's kind of a young guy still, in my opinion. To me, I I'm not doing New York this year. The next big event will be SCA for me, but then obviously free coffee tour. And so I was talking this morning with some of the vendors on the free coffee tour, some of the coffee roasters, and as of basically today, by the time this comes out for sure, I'll have announced or we'll have locked in all the dates. So I've got 10 different dates where we're going to go and do free coffee for people. And it's just a matter of the details. Those first 2 weeks of June, and then ending in Portland. So there's that. So I'm just like now that I'm thinking about all the stuff that I'm doing, so that you know, there's that. There's SEA, and then Hasea Coffee Source, the green coffee importer that I've worked with for a bunch of years here
Hmm.
in Anaheim. They're announcing today another coffee roasting competition. So their last one was like a huge success, and I got to be a judge for that one, and I felt very like overwhelmed because everyone else in the room was like a Q grader and like knew what they were doing, and I was just like, "This is good," and like this is not great, and like trying to figure out that trying to catch up to speed, but they're going to bring me back as the wild card judge for this one, and so that's going to be going out. If anyone who roasts is listening, follow the Hasea thing because the prizes are pretty great. I mean, I think we're sponsoring a $200 gift card. We meaning Roast West Coast to Hasea for green coffee, and I think the prizes are going up to like $1,000 in green coffee. They'll have to confirm that. I'm not the final say, but people should do that because I'm going to get to taste all that coffee, and I'm pretty
And
excited.
anyone can win too. Last year, I know I just listened to your episode from last year's winner, who was a home roaster.
Max Zelenovich.
Yes,
Yep, he
congrats,
had.
Max.
Hey Max, I feel like I've talked about Max on this show more than anyone else because everyone's just like, wait a minute, this person who's not a roaster won, but he is now an official business owner. He started Brainwave Coffee Roasters in outside Philadelphia. Outside Philadelphia is my favorite place in all of Pennsylvania as a former resident of the state, a state that I don't quite know accepted me, and it makes me nervous to go back sometimes because I never was quite. There's definitely like a homer. If you're from there, you will always be from there, and you're always going to be like part of the tribe. And if you're an outsider, even if you live there for a long time, even if you happen to own a bar that serves great beer, or you run a bar that serves great beer and they would like to drink it, you'll always be an outsider
Ryan from
a little
Wisconsin.
bit. Yeah, like always be just a little bit not quite there. You know, you can adopt the life, you can be part of it, but they're always going to be a little bit of a thing. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I mean, I appreciate how passionate they are about their state. We lived in Pittsburgh, which was definitely an experience, and my wife went to grad school there, and so it was a really just kind of an eye opener of how passionate people can get about not just like their state or their city, but like in Pittsburgh, their neighborhood. You know, when we first
Mhm.
moved, our real estate agent was helping us find an apartment, like, and he was in his 60s maybe, and it just seemed like he knew everything about this neighborhood we were looking in. Like, anytime I had a question, he had the answer. Like, he knew everyone who lived in every house. And I commented on it. I was like, man, this is incredible. Like, I was a real estate agent. Like, this is what you're doing right now is incredible. And he's like, well, I should know the neighborhood. He goes, I grew up in this house, and he pointed at the house like across the street. And he goes, and I live in this house now. And he like lived in the house next to that. And he made a comment. He's like, I've never been to a Steelers game, a football game. And I was like, really? Isn't that like a huge deal here? Do you not like football? And he's like, oh, I love it. He goes, I'm a huge fan. He goes, but I don't go to that side of town. Like, he had really kind of like focused on that area. And I'm not saying everyone's like that. Obviously, people get out of their neighborhood,
Mhm.
but it was just like this pride of place. And it made me really
Wow.
think about that as somebody who's moved a lot. You know, we lived in like 11 cities in 5 years at one point, and just made me think about where are the places that I'm, you know, proud to be from. And obviously, you know, our relationship is predicated, at least at the beginning. Obviously, we're friends now, but uh, because I saw your name tag said Wausau on it, which is my hometown, your hometown, and it like sparked this. Oh, like we have this mutual connection of shared place, and it's such a cool way to connect with people. Even now, like,
Mhm.
I don't mean to soapbox, but if I meet somebody who's from our general area, we immediately have a connection greater than just a stranger that I meet for whatever reason.
I mean, just yesterday there was somebody. My brother had a Wassa East swim backpack in the airport, and a total stranger came up and said, "Is that Wassa, Wisconsin?" And they didn't. They had never been there, but they knew someone who was from there, and still, it was a random
Yeah,
talking point. Which is, it's just, I don't know. I think that people can bond over shared places. Like, for some reason, places carry a lot, even if you haven't lived there. Or I don't know. I enjoy when I've been somewhere that someone else has lived or been, and can
yeah,
share the two or three things I picked up on. Not going to that side of town. That kind of reminds me of, I think it's How I Met Your Mother, when somebody starts dating somebody who's from New Jersey, and the whole
oh
group
yeah.
has to take the train over to New Jersey, and they just cannot stand going over there.
It might be an East Coast thing. I don't know. There's definitely some neighborhood, but all the neighborhoods have changed on the East Coast. I feel when I go back now, like some neighborhoods are still kind of what they were, but you know, the neighborhood that I lived in Brooklyn was definitely not a place people were excited to go when when I was there. And now it's like, oh, if you can live there, you're like kind of on the up and up, like for sure. It's definitely turned around, and all the neighborhoods around it too. There's just kind of an uplifting of that whole area, which is good, but also, you know, is hard too because gentrification is like a real thing, and the people that are moving there are moving from somewhere else and hopefully looking for a better life. But then there's going to be people there that are stuck getting higher rents and have to move on, and it's just kind of this constant process. One, as a Californian now, we've been here 11, 12 years, and we're looking at moving. You think about we're going to be those people who move somewhere, and everyone's going to be like, oh, they're going to see our California license plate and be like, those assholes. Like, they're
Mm-hmm.
driving up, you know, the price of whatever. But we're moving because someone is doing that to us too. And our prices are going up and up and up. And we've decided on something different with our life. But it's definitely an interesting, you know, humans migration. which I think is going to happen more and more due to climate change specifically. Domestic migration is like a real interesting topic. I should get someone on the show to talk about it, like that knows what they're
I'm
talking
probably
about.
not the one.
No, I mean I know you've talked about or thought about moving at some point, but for now are staying in Wisconsin.
I mean, I enjoy getting to see lots of places. Like I get like a taste of each of them. Um, but I really appreciate coming home and having affordable rent and woods in my backyard. So
Yeah,
like LA this weekend for I think 3 days. That was plenty of time for me. I'm excited to be home now.
it's good to get to know yourself in that way. Well, you were in Koreatown, which is kind of a cool spot to be too, because you're
Yeah.
kind of right on the edge of downtown, but you're not in it. It's almost like a calmness there, unless there's a Dodger game going on. Then it's nuts. I was wondering if you have seen recently any interesting coffee shop concepts, or if there's any place that stands out to you as being interesting. I feel like I'm getting very jaded in that there's so many coffee roasters and coffee shops, and a lot more themed ones maybe as they're trying to stand out from the pack. But what really stands out to me is like a cup of coffee that makes me kind of stop in my tracks, regardless of what the place is like. But it almost feels like just to get attention now, you're seeing a lot more like, we're not just a coffee shop. We also do like DJ sets in the morning, or we are a listening bar, or we are, there's a new place that's opening in Florida this week called Glampers, which is a glamping,
I can
high end
assume.
camping concept, right? So there's definitely this like, I think this right now, people who are starting coffee shops or roasteries going, how are we going to get people's attention? I'm wondering if you can think of anything off the cuff, obviously, that stands out as like, this is what would catch my eye, because you're traveling around city to city. I mean, are you seeing themes?
I mean, yeah, themes not so much. I've started journaling this year. So that's kind of starting 2025. I've been jotting down like similarities between things, like if they'd be a good place to work or like what was unique. If I had something to eat, like if it was, yeah, mine looks really similar. Um, so I mean, I guess this year so far, I was in Austin, Texas. I forget how much we talked about. Like you haven't been to Austin, I don't think yet.
No,
You will be
first time
later
will be
this
this
year.
April. Yeah.
Well, I went to two different places that were almost copy and paste the same, like of each other. They were kind of like beer garden feeling.
Hmm.
Like had huge, and this just might be a Texas thing. I've only really been to Austin, so I'll be curious to see if there's anything like this in Houston. But I mean, they were full service bars also, but they were like open, kind of like the like pea gravel
Sure.
winery feeling, like ground outside.
Hmm.
It was just like relatively loud music, like louder than you'd find inside of any cafe. They were a good spot to hang out. I had a cold brew at each one. I think a cold brew at one and iced Americano at the other. Um, but just like sitting outside and with good weather,
Hmm.
that's how I'd like to do it. I don't know that a shop quite like that would be as successful in Wisconsin, having like a couple 100 square foot interior and a couple 1,000 square foot outside. But
I feel like it would if they really embraced it as an outside theme. I've thought about this a lot, specifically in the Wausau area. Could you run an outdoor bar or cafe in the winter? And I almost feel like it'd be harder now that winters are getting warmer because you can't depend on snow. It's more
mhm.
fun to be outside and have a coffee or a drink if it's like a bunch of snow and maybe you're around a fire, right? Like at a ski hill or something is always great. Or when we were young, and this is kind of a generational thing, I don't know if kids are allowed to do this anymore, but like we could go out and snowmobile on trails through the woods and like there'd be a place somewhere along the way where there'd be like a little cabin or a bonfire or something that people would congregate at, and uh, obviously never do anything illegal. for their age. But the point being is like the idea that if you live in a cold weather place, if you embrace it and you encourage it, like, hey, you come to the bar and, in your full snow gear, or the cafe, and, sit on these benches that we've crafted out of, packed snow or whatever it might be, I think could work. But without being able to depend on the weather a little as much as, consistency as much as they used to, I think it would create a lot of muddy, crappy vibes.
It does get wet and brown. I mean, for weeks at a time. Like, I think the snowmobiling trails here were open for all of like 15 days this year, maximum,
Yeah.
probably. I went one day. I didn't see any coffee shops, lots of bars. Some of them, I mean, yeah, popped up in like a shipping container that has windows cut out of it, and they're serving drinks to people outside. And obviously, they're already dressed to be outside, anyways. Yeah, I could see something like that at, I mean, Granite Peak. We make snow, but I agree. I think embracing being outside. I mean, it sucks when you're just like walking to your car and then going and getting out of your car. But if you're dressed to be outside and that's what you're out there for, yeah, anything else that's outside is just awesome.
We're looking at some cold weather places to move, and, my wife and I are in our 40s. And so we're willing to re-engage with the cold after having left it, for a reason, but with some older person caveats. Like, for example, we're not moving unless we can get a place with a garage, because my wife doesn't want to have to scrape ice off the window of her car while she's in her work clothes and freezing to death before she goes to work. Little things like that. Or we need to be able to have a yard with a fence because we don't want to have to walk the dog or dogs, in the freezing cold. We'd rather be like, hey, buddy, open the door and let you go do your thing and come back. I'm more worried about the dog than anything. He has not enjoyed some of the cold weather places we have taken him. I think he's curled up right now on his heating pad.
He also doesn't have very long legs.
No.
I don't know if you've seen videos of dogs, like you can just kind of see the snow moving on the surface. Like it's I haven't watched Dune, but like the sandworm underneath.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's what he would look like in like knee deep snow in Wisconsin.
Can you hear the train?
I hear it.
Yeah. I'm not going to miss the train when we move. I'm going to miss my little closet booth. I should do like a crib style tour of it someday. I mean, this is pretty much it, but I am going to miss this little space that I've kind of carved out in the apartment here. I don't have a ton of other stuff going on. I think we've been having some good interviews. I don't know if you saw the one with Tim Williams from the AeroPress World Championships. There's one coming out this week with Ben Helt from the Specialty Coffee Association, kind of timely as we're leading into SEA. It's just been a really fun season. And, coming up, the show with video has been an interesting challenge for learning. But the more I get used to I don't know about you, but like for me, I'm very aware that there's a picture of me off to the side of the screen here, kind of reflecting back to me everything I'm saying and doing. But the more that we do this, I'm looking over here, this is like the 7th time we've done like a little session, like at some point. And the easier it is to like ignore it. And I wonder, like, is this what young people feel like all the time? I say that like I'm 100, but like, I just feel like I'm not used to like putting myself on camera. I'd rather put it on someone else. That's like the whole point. But now that
I'm
there's
definitely more comfortable flipping it around. Yeah. Especially like, I mean, I'm just kind of ignoring the fact that it's like going somewhere. I mean, I do Teams meetings all the time. So it's just you and I talking. This is like a pretty like comfortable communication method now, like just sitting here in front of like seeing you, and then I kind of just ignore my little picture in the corner. Just forget it. That's not there.
I drag like the screen over sometimes, so I'm legitimately off. Before I get going, because I gotta get a refill on this coffee, I was wondering if you have an opinion on the concept of renaming the Americano Canadiano. I'm not asking you your politics. I'm not trying to get into all that right now, but like the idea that it was a good reminder that somebody somewhere made up all these names. I mean, the Americano was named because American soldiers in Italy would add water to their espressos, and Italians were like, "That's ridiculous. We need to like distinguish this as your thing." And it became a thing where they could go in and order some the Americano and not have to explain they wanted water. Right? That's my understanding of the original name. Uh, and then recently, due to some political tariff situations, this trend of coffee shops in Canada renaming the Americano Canadiano. Wondering if you had any thoughts or if you've seen any, because you're closer to the Canadian border by a long shot than I am.
I am a lot closer to the Canadian border. Sadly, not close enough. If I see a Canadiano on a menu, I will absolutely be ordering it because when I think it was a Daily Coffee News article that came through when I saw it the first time, or Sprudge, or one of the great coffee news sites that there is. Yeah, it's pretty clever. I was all for it when I saw it.
There, I did see a post from a Canadian roaster saying like it's all fun, but the Canadiano is already its own thing. It's already its own recipe that is supposedly a little bit different from an Americano.
Huh.
And I couldn't find that recipe. So that's my goal before I put this out in the next day or so is try to find that Canadiano recipe and compare the two in the on the website.
I
But
mean, I
yeah,
know
I just
there's a
it was
difference
like a
between having a glass of ice water that you pour an espresso shot over versus having an espresso shot that you pour
yeah
water over. Apparently, they're not the same thing. Put them
yeah
side by side. I don't think I could tell you a difference, but
process matters to a lot of people. I brought it up because even though I said I'm not asking you about politics, I think it's important to remember that coffee and all of the things that we're doing have an impact globally. Like that's the unique thing about this industry. It's really impacting the whole world. The farmers, climate is affecting everyone. Like politics, it comes into play. Like to say it's not political is just not being completely honest with yourself. I think like certain parts of it are certainly not, and you can just have a cup of coffee and you don't have to think about all that stuff. It doesn't matter. But if you're in this industry long enough, you'll start to see how coffee prices in Brazil are impacting your local shop here and how political tariffs are impacting your ability to order coffee from overseas or all those different things. And I think it's a good reminder to just be aware that whatever we're drinking, it's impacting somebody somewhere.
mhm. Yeah, I mean it's a global industry we're in. It's
Yeah.
we can't do it on our own, especially being in Wisconsin. You can't grow coffee and produce it like drink it here. There are a
Do,
lot of things that need to be done other places.
I don't know of any farms that are growing coffee like hydroponically or underground or like they've, inside. I wonder if that's a thing yet. I feel like it's got to be at some point.
Well, I do know in Wausau, the chief meteorologist Justin Lowe. I'll bet he was on TV when you last lived here,
Oh, yeah,
however
for
many
sure.
years ago. Been around a while.
Absolutely. And
He
before Justin
has
Lowe was a guy named Sean Cronin, if I recall.
Justin Lowe's been around as long as I have, um, but Justin Lowe has I think it's 5 like mature producing coffee plants. I mean, he's probably in tune with the weather, but he takes some like in and out of a greenhouse depending on the weather. Um, I was having coffee with Nolan from the Pinery, and in walked Justin Lowe, and he just pretty much dropped a bag of coffee cherries, like he had picked them that morning, just dropped them on the table, and then pretty much walked out, and that was about it. And we were just kind of sitting there, and so we got to like squeeze the beans out. I mean, I didn't roast them and drink them. It was just like 10 or 15 cherries, but yeah, I mean, they were grown in Wisconsin. I don't think I doubt they were Arabica quality wise, probably not that great, but they were made in Wisconsin, which was kind of exciting.
Well, that's like what if anyone knows of anyone or you come across anyone who is growing at scale, because that's obviously the game changer is if you can grow at scale. I would love to talk to them. I know there are some coffee farmers here in California who are growing, a couple acres here or there, which is super cool. But because of winds, which are not the same as they might be at a source location in the coffee belt. They're digging essentially trenches, 8-10 feet down in the ground, and then planting the trees and the coffee plants down there, so that they can control the wind that comes through that might be damaging, like our Santa Ana winds are so strong. So there's going to be like things like that everywhere. But that to me is like step one. And then step two is like, how can we just do this inside the way frankly, the way they grow weed and tomatoes at this point, and probably strawberries or something. How's that coffee? Anything left in there?
Just about gone, sadly. And it's pretty cold.
I think that's it for me too. And I need to put on another layer because I'm getting chilled.